The last time I've had food poisoning, I remember was when I was in college, man, and I was spewing and shitting at the same time all night. I was just like in the shower, curled up into a ball, just crap coming out both ends.
Welcome to Game of Nodes, the gastro. Wait, what's the word I'm looking for? Intestinal disorder podcast. You poop, wait. Hang on, that doesn't make any sense. If I say you poop, we scoop, like as in scoop in the news, but I realized the pun didn't work, and it just sounded like you would pick up the poop. This is how we begin the 100th episode. Welcome everybody. It's good to know that we've gone on as we started, haven't we? Really.
I mean, you could give credit to us. Number 100 episodes, and number 2, like making it through this poop and scoop situation.
It's been a little bit like, one of those quite, one of those like old books where it's not the Odyssey, right? But people will be like, oh yeah, it's actually a rewrite of the Odyssey, of the Iliad, the Iliad and the Odyssey. No, it's actually that, and it's basically just like somebody trekking through a desert or something. And it's just endless and metaphorical and filled with self-revelation. That is the 100 episodes of Game of Nodes. Crazy. And we're not even out of the desert yet. That's the most beautiful bit. It's not even over.
Next week, 99.
99. We're going back to zero, boys. Just like every cryptocurrency. we're going back to zero. Yeah, the thing is that if this was a cryptocurrency, we'd have got episode 1, episode 100, episode 2.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe that's too drastic. Episode 100, episode 10, episode 9, episode 8, episode 7.
Lots happened in 100 episodes.
A lot has happened. Although, I mean, I guess we've focused on the Cosmos ecosystem, so obviously the drama. There's a lot of drama to go around in Cosmos, isn't there?
Definitely 100 episodes worth.
And every other ecosystem is about to find out as more proof of stake ecosystems roll around, as more people experiment with governance and DAOs. It's all just going to come home to roost. It's going to be fantastic. Because we get to say, "I told you so." We told you so. We said so in Game of Nodes 1.
What? 1? I don't know. By the way, don't go back and start at the beginning if you're picking up the show now, because I went back and I think I watched like 1, 2, and 3. They're pretty rough.
They're
pretty rough. I did like having other guests. Like I missed Todd on the show.
I miss Todd.
That was always nice to have.
I miss Jabby.
I miss Jabby.
Jabby from the Vid.
Yep. It's from
shout out in the comments.
Those are early days.
Your favorite presenter, R.I.P. Killed by the Cosmos bear market.
Who else do we have as like a regular? Was it just those two?
I think Jabby and Todd. Jake did quite a few.
Jake did a bunch up front.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, we've had Rama and Bendy on a lot, but that's more recently.
Yeah. I meant like the first 20 or 30 episodes or something like that, which I didn't think we'd get past.
Yeah. Well, Schultzy disappeared for a while, and I wondered whether Schultzy was going to come back, and then Schultzy started appearing in the group chat again, and it was like back from the dead. The Undertaker lives.
I missed 3 episodes because I was moving. Like I think I get a little bit of a pass there.
Yeah, but you would
from a different.
Hey, what about
from Schultzy? An island to a mainland?
There was a bit where you took some time off as well.
Yes, when I was moving. Yes.
Oh, so that was the road trip. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was the road trip. Yeah.
Twice actually. Right.
What do you call it when somebody drops off communication and then doesn't show up to the podcast? In this network, in this ecosystem, right? That could mean dead, government,
could mean
spies,
jail,
organized crime, jail, rug pull, Prop 16.
Loss of delegation and general fuck this attitude.
Whatever it was Takumi did when they ghosted, any number of things. So anyway, 100 episodes. What was your what's been your highlight of the period of time we've covered in 100 episodes, everybody.
I honestly can't remember what we did last week. So sorry, Schultze. I interrupted.
Because you burnt out now.
Hey, no, I'm fucking good, bro. I just drove 13 hours yesterday like it ain't no thing. I just like cruised down the road. Don't even remember driving. Just fucking got to Melbourne. I just made it.
I would say my highlight is consistently whenever someone that does good work gets high on a new network. Like Silk Nodes is number 2 or 3 on Dimension right now. I'm just really stoked for them. They do a lot of good stuff, and they totally deserve the recognition. And so every time there's a network launch and one of us get up there, like one of the crew get up there, I'm always like, perfect, amazing, awesome, love it.
Yep.
That's a very recent highlight. That's like 100 episodes. What's your highlight? You're like Silk Node's getting up on.
Yesterday.
No. I'm just saying like a consistent. That's consistently my highlight. My consistent highlight is when a new network launches, when there's really strong representation. Like consistently, that's like my upshot, right? I mean, I'm sure there's other good things as well. Like there's been a lot of good networks we're on where like suddenly my stress reduces, but is that the same as a consistent high from good things happening? I don't know. I don't know if our stress reduction is the same as an increase in happiness.
I don't know. We've also had really good people on, so it's been like we talked about Jake early on, but Shane and Jorge on from Stargaze, or Henry, or from Penumbra, Sisla, and Omniflix, right? We have a few others on too, which we should do more. Like, we should try.
We've had a lot of guests, but we seem to have gone off the guest train lately.
Yeah, Sporty, guest host with like Funky coming on, and Bendy, and they're Australian. What's that guy's name? I can't remember.
Rue guy.
He's never in the chat, so I mean, how would you know?
Did we fire him? Is that true?
He announced on Twitter that we couldn't fire him because he'd actually quit in private several weeks before. Juno Upgrade 19 would be his final news piece.
So is that because there were some news items that were already in the spreadsheet by one of the people on this call? Is that right? Is that what happened? So you recognize that?
Yeah, it's like he went, like there was already some news in there, and so yeah, the kangaroo went in there and just cracked the shits. He's like, "This is my job."
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
The hell? It's a lot of news in here for our 100th.
Man, I tell you what, this room is echoey.
I think guess-wise, I think Henry might have been the most informative. I think
Skip Team, another one.
Yeah, that was good. Ethan Frey was good. Simon, we had Simon from Noise on, who's also obviously part of Confio. I think Simon is very underrated as a quiet, clever person. Often is, I like him a lot. It's a shame we never got Max Juno on. I kind of think of all the people in the cosmos, I think Max might have his head screwed on the best, but doesn't do public appearances, obviously. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be funny one day to get Artifact on, but we obviously know there are hurdles to that. I think if you could get Artifact on with a beer in hand, that would be quite funny. I quite like to see like Artifact and Jabby shooting the shit. That would be an entertaining episode. Maybe 150,000 subscriber Artifact and Jabby off.
There you go.
Face reveal.
All right, what else has happened? Well, enough of this backward-looking bullshit.
Let's go forward. Only forward. Like Malice.
Only up. That's right.
Bitcoin just cost 44,000. That it just jumped like 1%. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it did.
That's immediate. That's recent news. Recent news.
Yeah, look at that. Is there some news, or just who knows?
I think it's a who knows situation. I did hear that. What was it? BlackRock crossed Grayscale for how many Bitcoin they have on, so that's probably driving some excitement. Since BlackRock, I think, is the largest investment firm. I don't really know what they'd be considered, but I can see that driving excitement.
Aren't they a private army?
No, it's different.
That's Blackwater.
Oh, my mistake. Apologies. Oh, somebody's
Different
mic's feeding back, by the way.
Who's humming?
Technical difficulties on the 100th episode.
I don't think it's me.
That might be me because there's people doing yard work outside.
Oh yeah,
Is it
could be.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Yep.
keep muted.
Yep. Rumors also, top memory is watching Null struggle through setting up a node for 2 hours and failing. I don't remember that actually.
It's because you weren't there.
Null,
That was just
Null versus RPC, I think was the name of that
Is
episode.
is that what it was?
Go back through.
I missed it.
I might even delete that episode. It's kind of outdated.
Yeah, but it is quite funny. So
What was that for?
I don't know. I think we're just setting up a Juno node just for shits and giggles.
No,
But like the
Yeah,
hardware.
I think that's why.
being educational.
Yeah, something like that.
Very educational show.
I remember I did a live stream once. This was like before the dark times, before the bear market. When we were talking about Akash, because Akash, we had Greg on. Do you remember that?
Greg, yep,
And
sure did.
I did an RPC, not an RPC. I stood up an RPC on Akash on a stream to see if you could do it in like 30 minutes or something. And about 15 minutes in, there was like a knock at the door, and it was a parcel. And it was still on a live stream, and I had to run downstairs, then sign for a parcel. It turned out to be something like a desk or something. It was not small, and then I had to like carry it inside the house. And I was literally, there's just my chair in the live stream, no explanation for like 8 minutes, maybe. Like, it's a really long time. It's like a full quarter of the stream, I think. There's just my chair, no explanation. And I looked at the analytics afterwards, and people had tuned in and been like,
There is just a chair.
"There's literally a chair. What the hell, man?" That was a good one. A shame it wasn't a Game of Nose episode, but the Never Ending Upgrade, that was a weird one. The party bus episode. Do you remember that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Cracking. Anyway, I keep taking it back. Only forward. Only forward.
forward.
Only look at the future.
Mhm.
So, future. Does Cosmos have a future?
Let's keep it lighter than that.
Yeah.
Maybe some news or something.
Maybe there's some news to take the edge off. Like, it's been a tough week.
Exactly.
It's been a tough
Cosmos
week.
to have a future.
We just need some tasty news. Okay, so geez, we do have a lot of news this week.
There is, yeah. I don't know. I guess this is multiple contributors, but this is like a whole bunch of shit going on.
I will have you know that I did not contribute at all.
Same.
Okay, I mean, I'll start off on one that I can directly speak to, because I joined the consultation thing for it last week. I never mentioned this on the podo last week, actually, which is that the digital pounds consultation has happened and fed back, which is obviously that's not going to happen in terms of like implementation for some time. But they got, I think, 50,000 written responses from companies and individuals to the consultation paper, with the overwhelming concern being privacy, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so they're very much going in the direction of like a credit, or maybe not credit. Well, not credit. That's not the correct word. I've been told off in the last week for using the word credit when what I mean is private money. But they're like a debit card style private money situation where a bank is issuing essentially a thing that is the central currency, is fiat money, but they are doing it through their infrastructure so they can see your balance. So that is the sort of rough proposal for the model, which is interesting, right? Because they're talking about spending it at a till, which you obviously can do with a debit card, but they also talk about it being a pound, which is specifically cash money, right? So that I think what they're basically showing is that they are going down the private money implementation route. They're not going for a digital cash implementation. The other thing that was kind of clear is that there are, when they said they're concerned about privacy, they said the central bank and the government won't be able to look at your balance. or any personally identifiable data. So on the feedback call, I actually asked the question and said, well, you've said that, but you've also said that private providers will be involved. So does that guarantee hold? How do you envisage that? And they were like, oh, well, people have to make money off, but people can and probably will make money off that data, and we're not extending that to private partners. So it kind of looks like I don't really see the point. I other than you need to take, there is a point obviously in taking fiat money into cryptocurrency spaces. That's a given, but that's something they're not even talking about yet. And I don't really see what the benefit of doing something which would have no privacy guarantees from your bank or issuer. If it's not cash-like in that respect, it doesn't really address the privacy concerns that are being talked about. So that's interesting. I guess that they obviously have very well backed and influential, and also literally in the room lobbyists from the financial sector, both in government, in the Bank of England, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not surprising that that's kind of the direction they're going at the moment. And obviously it's still at a very early stage, but
yeah, I don't think it's much of a surprise at all, right? Like
I don't think it's a surprise. No, I don't think it's a surprise.
The privacy side is a benefit, but from a digital currency perspective and the ability, I mean, they're thinking about it from convenience and transaction fees and they're thinking of it from that perspective, not this idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of things they'd want to do would be like cross-border payments and clearing.
Yeah, right, and clearing, right? Yeah,
and in clearing in its own right, like as somebody who works on cash-like systems, as soon as you we can use a cash-like system for clearing, we could use it for internal reconciling for multinationals. That is a huge market, and obviously finding a use for pounds in that space where they're already widely used is valuable. But so the only thing there though is that there's two different discussions. There's the retail CBDC and there's the wholesale CBDC. So I would kind of almost argue that privacy is much less important in, say, the wholesale CBDC case, where you're probably going to do those sorts of things, whereas for the average user, the reason you would use digital pounds as opposed to just tapping your debit card, because that's how simple it is to pay for something, right? Because their big thing is they're doing loads of stuff on the design space to make this work in physical locations. For anybody to ever prefer that to just tapping their debit card, there has to be some benefit. And given that the retailer is the one who's soaking up the cost of using the debit card, to the consumer, the fact that it's lower fees to use the instead of my Monzo card where I'm tapping a debit card, I'm tapping my digital pounds wallet. It's a different piece of plastic with a slightly lower fee. I don't give a shit as a consumer. It has to give me something else.
Yeah, but I also don't think that actually consumers give two shits about privacy.
I don't
everybody talks about it, but nobody. At the end of the day, I think if they rank stacked, Jesus, if they rank stacked all the benefits associated to this, privacy would probably be at the bottom of that list, right? They would lower fees, maybe faster clearing or it would be all in their own benefit, not necessarily privacy, right? People talk a good game about that, but when it comes down to it, they just want to spend less.
At the same time, though, bank accounts that offer single-use debit card numbers are pretty popular and are widely used. And they're much more popular now because Apple Pay does that, right?
Sure.
So there is I think there is a quite sophisticated group of there are a group of people who wouldn't consider themselves power users that are using one-time debit card numbers and stuff like that, which is exactly the same as cash, in terms of a pure privacy structure, which is I'm effectively creating a non-fungible representation of a thing that is fungible, giving you it as payment, and then that's ensuring some measure of privacy from the seller. So I take your point. I don't think it's necessarily important to people, but I think when they see it in certain contexts, they definitely do see the value in it because people use that feature in Apple. It's the main thing. If you actually see one of those annoying Revolut YouTube ads, they go "Oh, I don't like showing my card number to these dodgy online stores that are definitely going to get owned," and you're like, "Yeah, fair." that's
Yeah.
a really valid use case for digital cash or
Yeah.
digital money. But I mean, obviously, you can solve that a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah, we use like privacy card. Like what all we do is give it that. But I mean, in the end of the day, though, like that's there's some card data that's not being used there. But the places I use that, they still have our not all, but most have our name anyway. You know what I mean? So there's usually email address or something else that gets tied or something else like that. But
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole
there are some solutions with that.
Well, yeah, there's a whole other piece of work there, which is that I mean, anything that you do with blind proofs, you can also do blind proofs for identity. And there's I think it's not a big brain thought. This is a very Jimmy Small brain thought. But the design space for revealing progressive parts about identity without revealing others is actually the same problem as binding a commitment to hand over a certain amount of cash to somebody. Right. That's actually the same cryptographic problem.
I think it does make sense that they're starting on the wholesale side, or at least that's the easier problem to solve. And I think that is such a small number of individuals or groups that are within there. It's if they could solve that and actually have that, that would drive use of digital currency across the globe, because you would say, hey, if you want to, like, if it is a central bank or something else within where you are, and if there's banks here in the US like Chase or something else that want to be able to do clearance, and they have options between standard clearance on ACH and some other faster ways that have lower fees and I mean, they own the fees anyway, but you know what I'm saying, right? And faster proofs and those types of things. I think that's a good place to start. So I guess it's also kind of what Swift is doing with this.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. I think that's what they're trying to do as well.
My understanding is that they have a work stream on the wholesale, but the wholesale isn't necessarily coming before the consumer piece.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's not.
I don't think so. I could be wrong about that. That's just my read. My reading it last week and then trying to remember it now. From what I recall, they're actually running at the same time, and there isn't a specific commitment to bringing to market the wholesale thing. Possibly because there are other competitors, but I don't know. I just remember that it was mentioned and was like, that's a obvious slam dunk, which they presumably know. So anyway, cool. so that's my digital pound update. I guess there probably not going to be updates anymore for another 5 years or so, but all the various working groups are going back to their, I was about to say bunker, but they're going back to the Bank of England building. That's literally where they will be, and then going to continue talking about things for another few years, I imagine. And then just build, and then in the end they'll probably just let Google do whatever Google wants, and then take all our data. So happy days, digital pound. Nice news. Let's go.
Nice. Yeah, what do you got?
So the other piece of news I saw this week, which I really liked, was this. The Suju thing, the 3 Arrows Capital guy. Who was in prison in Singapore, and he was asked about it, and he said it was really enjoyable overall. I was just like, that's a really funny, just a really funny one-liner. Just like, hey, you've been in jail for 3 months. How was it? Really enjoyable overall.
Was that like was that in sarcasm, or is it like at the end of The Wolf of Wall Street where he's like he's playing tennis in the prison, like?
I don't know. I've not been to Singaporean prisons, so I don't know whether it is like tennis courts and I don't know if it's like rich guy prison or whether it's bad prison. But
like, don't drop the soap in the shower prison.
Yeah, what's that line from Office Space? So fuck me in the ass prison. Is that what it is? On me in the ass. Is that what it was? I forget.
Federal fuck me in the ass prison.
Federal fuck me in the ass prison. Yeah.
There you go.
That's what it is.
That's the one. The one bit of analysis I saw about it, again, I don't know if this is true, but was saying that like it might be part of an idea to try and rehabilitate his image in order to do future work. Is to be like, no, it was really fine. Not saying that he'd learned a lesson or anything like that, just that it was fine, which is what a very trustworthy guy says. I went to prison. I liked it. It's a very normal reaction, which if I read of somebody having that reaction to prison, I think I would invest in them. Great guy. Not financial advice.
That's funny.
It reconnected him with nature. Yeah. Like jungle nature.
I can see that. Like you go to prison, you're in concrete for 6 months, a year, a couple years. Suddenly you're like, man, that tree looks pretty awesome. I want to be around a lot of trees.
Like fighting for your life in there. Desperately trying not to drop the soap.
Why are there moving boxes behind you now? Are you moving?
We recently moved into this house a year ago. So
it's still not unpacked.
A year ago.
We moved here a couple of weeks ago, and while I was away, I came back, and my partner has decided that the office is now a box room because they're on my chore list to pack up. So
it's cool.
Yeah. There's like other things in here that I have to do as well. Like there's a floor mat over there, which is apparently my duty now because I don't know why. And there's other shit buried under those boxes, demons you don't want to know about. But this was pretty tidy when I left, and now it is completely the opposite. So
it's like broken window theory. Do you remember that? I mean, I know that's discredited as a theory, but do you know about that? I mean, I assume the Americans do, right?
No idea.
I don't think so.
It's the New York policing idea, isn't it? Where like if you walk down the street and you see a broken window, you're like, this place is a shithole. Oh, I can clearly rob people here, so I'm going to go buy a gun and like fucking stick some people up. It's like the idea that there's a kind of positive feedback loop, externality, I suppose, or whatever about various types of like petty crime and whatever. It's like reinforcing. So you have to come down really hard on all of it because it allows things to slide, but also there's also a kind of implication that you also need to fix things that are shit, like the windows and stuff. Although I think the way it was I feel like the way it was interpreted by law enforcement was not so. I obviously hear that and I go, oh right, so what you're saying is the area is deprived, hence the broken windows, so you need to like invest in the area, fix the windows, fix the opportunity of the people that live there, and that will improve things. But I think the actual way it's interpreted was you need to imprison people for minor infractions in that area, and then it didn't work, and so yeah. But onto Null's spare room, broken windows theory definitely does apply to spare rooms, which is that if you put one piece of total dog shit that you really need to throw out or at least deal with today in the spare room or in an office, suddenly every fucking thing piles up with increasing rapidity. You notice behind me there is one cardboard box that appeared because I didn't pack it away after finishing some painting, and then a second box has appeared on top of that amp, and just out of shot here there are two more boxes. They've been multiplying, and a workbench, and then there's just a pile of baby stuff to give away to some people, which could have gone somewhere else. It went up here, and there's also just a duster on the floor that I've just noticed.
That's how
during this show.
Yes,
it will multiply behind me.
Shit gets stacked for you to take care of. Take care of this, right?
That's right. I just stripped the guest room. We no longer have a guest room because it's turning into a nursery. And that's basically my entire experience. The guest room was like, there's so much stuff in here that should not be. There's like 30 boxes of Oatly milk because Cassie used them for like arts and stuff. And there's just boxes of milk everywhere. It's really, I'm like, what's going on?
To flush it.
What?
That's so
milk.
funny.
Yeah, so oat milk comes in these, cardboard cartons, right? And so there's like 30 of them because she'll use them for different art projects because she works with kids, right? And so she'll use them for art projects. There's just cartons and cartons and cartons of empty milk cartons.
I might be dumb, but I'm like not connecting the milk and art.
Like
say
art crafts.
Yes, crafts. Yeah, you can like cut it in half, right? And then you have like a container, and that
Empty
container.
milk cartons.
That's what I said. Empty. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Tin Man in the chat asking, who drinks cardboard milk? I
You just grind it up in a Vitamix,
milk
and then
cardboard.
you put it with water, and then you sift it out. Cardboard milk. Perfect.
You squeeze anything enough, some
confusing the
fucking juice will
viewership.
come out of it.
Since 2022.
That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, there's boxes because I need to put them away.
Because so has ever been called your room? Hey, I put some boxes in your room. Because over here, that has happened in this office. Like this office, I use 24 hours a day, and hey, I put some stuff in your room. I'm like, no, this is not my room. I'm not 12. Like I own this whole place. Like I own all this. Like this is all ours. From the front door to the back door. Yeah, I put it in your room. I was like, in the office.
We have been looking for a new place.
Yeah.
In another capital city, and that it's like depending on how expensive it is when we're looking at them, depends on whether it's our place or my place.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, seems to be like the more expensive they get, the more expectation I am to buy it. Rather than a we buying situation, it becomes a you're buying situation. So yeah. But I mean this room, I think without the cardboard boxes, like the echo in here would be insane. It's already pretty bad because it's just hard surfaces all around.
Yeah. You just need a carpet, and once you get some furniture in there, it'll break all that shit up, right? So you just need like
the thing is, it almost looks like one of those default Zoom backgrounds. Like it's like the spare room background. Do you know what I mean? Like exposed brick wall, a few like an old whiteboard for that period where your work was telling you you're going to work agile, and just like a few random things that have gone the way the dinosaurs, just all packed up neatly into boxes.
It's like the default background for a failing business where you've like half the stuff's packed up and you've like rolled the floor carpet up, but you're still like trying to attend meetings and like pretend to be in business. Like you're muted, my man.
It's like the live recording of Killed by Death by Motorhead, where it might be, it's at the start. Lemmy goes, "This was a big hit for us. I've got 10,000 copies in my house." That's what's in your boxes now. 10,000 copies of Killed by Death.
Does not sound like anything like that.
Well, yeah. I wasn't trying to do my Lemmy impression. Anyway, the point is, also the lyrics for that song are great. The bit, just I'm not going to recite them. But look them up later. They're fantastic. I guess we'll put them in the show notes or something. But
so you're going to move again? It feels like you've moved like 4 times. Do you just look for another place?
Yeah, we
if you move enough,
in Melbourne,
authorities
in winter,
can't find you,
so
and your accountants can't find you either.
We still sort of haven't really decided where we're going to live. We don't own this place; it's just the place that we're staying.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
And the last place we didn't own it either; we just rented it. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we're looking for like our home, I guess you would say. But it's like there's a long.
Your parents' basement is lovely this time of year.
It is. So it's been really hot there in Tamworth, and I have just been belting the AC for like a few weeks now. I don't think I've turned it off. So there is like solar panels on the roof, but I'm fully expecting my dad to come and hand me the electricity bill at the end of like the quarter. Even though their AC is like 5 times the size of mine in the granny flat.
So that place is too warm. Melbourne's too cold.
Man, yesterday when I left the other place, it was like I left at 6 a.m. It was 30 degrees already. And
Really? Holy shit.
yeah, I got here at 7 p.m. and it was like 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're looking for something, you want to split the difference, I'm guessing.
I mean, Brisbane's always hot, so that's kind of better. I like it to be cold when I'm on holidays. I don't, during the rest of the months, I like to be able to go outside and do stuff.
Yeah.
Go hiking and shit, sweat my ass off. But like it's summer and I'm wearing a fucking jumper. So I don't know. Going to see the Titanic exhibition though on the weekend, so that'll be cool. There is stuff to do down here, so that's good.
What will that entail?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. Apparently, there's like bits of the Titanic in some exhibition in the museum. So I guess
obviously
that
not affected by that last submarine, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like that must have been previous missions down there that were successful. Bring back like a chair or something.
But why? Why in Australia?
I don't fucking know. They probably take it around the whole world. Like, oh, look at this. It was a boat that's.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I was like, that seems really far away for it to just be like in the museum there as a rotating exhibit. Got it.
Yeah, I think it's an exhibit that sort of goes around the place or something. Like the other day, there was dinosaurs. I don't know. Weird.
On the Titanic?
Yeah. No, yeah, dinosaurs from the Titanic.
It's a new theory.
No, it's like my phone had been spamming me for weeks about this like dinosaur exhibition.
But that's like Node Big Down or Dinosaur Network.
Seriously.
And then I like randomly walked.
Then I woke up. It was all a dream. I'd never run any validators. There was no network called Dinosaur Network.
I'm not late for an upgrade.
I walked my partner to Pilates, right? And then I was like walking home and I like looked in this warehouse looking thing in the middle of the suburbs. And I was like, what is this dinosaur thing standing there with like smoke, like the smoke coming around? I'm like, this must be like a children's thing or something going on in there?
Yeah.
And then I looked down at my phone again and it's like still spamming me this dinosaur thing. And I'm like, this must be it.
I guess this is it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there was like some of them around the place because it looked like pretty divey. It didn't look like something that should have been advertised.
And how many mushrooms had you done? Like 10 grams before that?
Yeah. Mushrooms making a huge comeback here in the US. I was reading about. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I guess, I don't know what, but yeah, they're starting to show up at different locations. And like, I'm not sure. I don't know if the legality is not going to change or anything else like that. But there was just a story I was reading about how psychedelics are making like a huge comeback with college kids, which I thought was pretty funny.
Nice.
Psychedelics are seasonal, man. They only grow in like the shoulder seasons.
Fast facts. Yep.
They used to be completely unregulated here because you can just like go and find them in the woods if you know where. And then they weirdly went just from maybe class C or maybe no class at all to class A, like the worst.
Well, they did.
Yeah, for no reason. And like, yeah, like if you hang out with certain types of folks, especially some who live like around about, you talk to people at work and who are kind of like who party occasionally still, you can probably like if you talk to them about shrooms, somebody will be like, oh yeah, I have a friend or a friend of a friend that knows where they're growing up in X woodland. And you're like, okay, that figures. Like people would make a fucking note when they're like, oh, a clutch of magic mushrooms, that will do. Let's get the what 3 words for this location.
Hey, so if I could address the Rama in the room right now, I probably should just text him, but he's been nagging my ass for ages. And hey, I'm actually going to be driving back home via the Newcastle way. So
did you use Dr. Rama?
Well, yeah, it's a big place. Like lots of
Big
suburbs.
by Australian standards or by everywhere else's standards? There's like
Yeah.
300 people there. You'd have to
Okay,
knock
let
on
me rephrase. I'll be
like 250
driving home
houses.
via Ruse City, so
That's so funny.
it's like me saying I'm in Melbourne. Like it'd be pretty fucking hard to find me here. Like anyway, so yeah, man, I might stop in for that beer. Are you going to put me up for the night? It's a fucking long way. It's
Right now, I'm just gonna go on Google Maps and search Newcastle for the finest backyard.
Yeah,
Just like go straight. Yeah,
I know he's gonna get totally doxxed.
Well, he has shared
Google
a
Earth.
photo previously of his front
Who's the
yard with his lawnmower in it. So
The finest backyard. I'm looking right now. I'm gonna find
time
it.
to get out the AI.
That's the one.
Help me find the finest backyard.
So yeah, like maybe Tuesday next week. It's 100 kilometers out of my way, so there'd better be like some sort of pint involved.
A beer.
Yeah,
Get a pint of beer. You haven't.
Yeah.
Seems like it's more than that, right? It's way out of your way.
Yeah, it's like 100 Ks. Well, actually,
you
to
take
then
like
go
the
into
A1 all the way there?
Newcastle is probably like 150 Ks out of my way.
You must it must be a way to cut across, right? You're not like going all the way
This
on
is
the
this is
M1
scale
to
of
A1 and
country.
everything, are you?
This is the scale of countries. Like 150 kilometers out of the way would take you across to the other side of England. To the
I know it's like the whole country.
Like as in I literally know that it is 153 kilometers. I'm going to dox my location here. It is 153 kilometers to York from the place I live. It's a city up in the north of England, much further north than the northwest. Like it's literally on the other side of the country.
Yesterday,
it's a little detour.
Yesterday, I drove basically 1,200 kilometers.
From here, that would get you to the south of France, I think. It would certainly get you to, I think that would get you to Switzerland.
And I did that in one sitting. I stopped only for diesel.
Yeah,
was it just like one road, like in Mad Max or Wake in Fright or?
No, it like you have to do a lot of turns. It's a bit of zigzagging through the countryside, but if you go via
Queen of the Desert, that was the final one I was thinking of.
If you go via Rewtown, it is basically like 110 most of the way. So it's further, but it's quicker to go the other way. Well, it's a similar time, but it's further.
Right.
Yeah, but there's no like you just get on there and go to sleep and put on cruise control. So
literally just get into the back seat, let things take their course.
In our lifetime,
the accelerator.
The cruise control in my cruiser will run you into a pole for sure. Like it is bad. It's okay if it's on if you're on like some blacktop with really defined white lines. The lane centering will sort of work, but like if there's a turnoff or something, and then there's like a continuity line that's a white dotted line, but then the actual edge line is still solid white. Like there's a good chance it'll reef you off the road into a pole.
Wait, what? Your cruise control takes over the wheel as well?
Yeah, it keeps you in the center
keeps you in the middle.
lane.
Yeah.
You can turn it on and off.
Okay, for some reason I thought cruise control was just like it was back in the 90s or wherever, where it's just locks you to a speed.
You don't have a car, do you?
No.
Yeah, so the modern cruise control and like the newish cars, it'll like slow you down if you're coming up on another car as well. So to keep you around the speed, it'll like stop you from running into cars, that type of shit. Sort of keep you in the lane a little bit.
Yeah, and it'll keep a distance to the car in front and that kind of shit.
Your steering wheel vibrates if you like go over a line, like the rumble strips used to do, or probably still do.
Just like DualShock 2.
Yeah, a DualShock steering wheel. But yeah, I mean, what do you do then when the car's doing all the work? So I tend to like leave a lot of that shit off, so I still have to kind of drive.
Well, you could put on the the Apple Vision Pro, right?
I put on the Apple Vision Pro, but it's got like children and targets and stuff to run into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're like down the highway collecting points. Yeah. Or like, I mean, I guess a better version of that would be like you get points for staying right in the middle of the lane or something. I mean, it wouldn't be as fun, but maybe more safe.
Watch YouTube videos or something. Let it pop up in front of you and just let the car do its thing.
I feel like that might be a
people are calling that
distraction.
out. Yeah.
So
Could you imagine looking next to you and seeing someone with this fucking thing on their head, and they're like, while the car's just like careering down the highway at 100 kilometers an hour?
So has anybody else seen those, speaking of the Apple Vision thingy, like they've been kind of like, there's posts been like, what the fuck is this person doing on public transport wearing one? There've been a lot of those in like kind of last couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the second half of that is then I've seen a whole bunch of posts being like, this is viral marketing. This is them trying to get it in front of your face by being like, look at this person. They look like a fucking idiot on public transport, typing away, getting stuff done, being productive outside of working hours for the capitalist masters. But then you're like, yeah, but they're just going to get it fucking stolen off their head. They're just going to get something, knock it off. And they're like, and then people are like, well, no. What if this isn't a viral marketing stunt? But people are stupid enough to have stuff knocked off their head anyway. And now I'm back to like, I don't know, is it a viral marketing stunt? Are these people genuinely just like sat in broad daylight on a bench typing away, completely oblivious?
I don't think so. Like that guy that was crossing the road and he's like stopping and like, I just can't see people doing that yet. Mainly because you look like a fuckwit.
Yeah, but these are videos that other people have taken of somebody walking around.
There's a whole crew behind that person with the camera, like
right,
stopping traffic and shit.
No, I don't mean like a well-produced thing. I mean like phone camera portrait.
Yeah, I know. It's made to look like it was taken on the street, but there's a whole crew of people behind that person with their iPhone.
So you are in the conspiracy bandwagon.
It's not a conspiracy. It's fucking marketing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's marketing, right?
It does explain why they aren't instantly mugged, doesn't it?
Like polished Figment videos don't engage. They don't hit. You need to have like homegrown, fucking home movie style like marketing these days.
Artisanal, you might call it.
Yeah, cottage
marketing.
I think cottage marketing might be a different thing.
I think some people are really
what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's all like the Casey Neistats and things like that running around, but I think others do want to, walk around that stupid ass thing and be in city streets and those kind of things, and so be it. Whatever. But, I mean, honestly, most of that though is going to be very short term, right? Like, I don't think it's gonna. I mean, airplanes. I kind of get it. Although you look like a fucking moron in that thing if you're wearing an airplane. But
so I kind of low key thought that when Google Glass came out, I was like, this is way too early. Like nobody's going to buy it yet. But I was like, yeah, this is the future.
So when Google Glass came out, I was like, this is it. This is the next killer app. I invested in Google when Google Glass came out, and then like a week later they scrapped the project, and then I uninvested.
It was like 10 years too early.
Hey,
it was 10 years too early. Like just from the idea of having a camera in your face and people taking pictures. Now that shit happened everywhere, right? Like you wouldn't have the same amount of backlash around recording in public.
At the time, it was like it was just labeled as ultra pervy. And people
right.
I mean, it still is. It's just that people are shifting baseline syndrome where people who have accepted they have no privacy.
There's no recording light on those Apple things either. So like it's the same thing, right?
And
I don't think I didn't see
the
one.
Apple thing is probably like a little bit more obvious than like the nerd glasses.
Yeah. Sure.
Like when you've got a fucking scuba mask on your face, people know it's there. Like when you're cruising down the street with some fucking glasses with a camera on it, it's like a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's kind of back to like, everything we saw in Minority Report 30 years later is going to be like a real thing. And like that's because that's what he does in the thing, doesn't he? He has the little.
That's where people get their ideas from.
It's a projection, isn't it? It's projected
Minority
from
Report.
his glasses in front of him that he then manipulates, right?
Was it?
Yeah, because I think he puts on glasses and then gloves, right? And I think it's the
Really? Does
glasses.
he put glasses on?
Yeah,
No.
I
Really?
thought it was just
in
like
the chat. I feel like that's what happens. He puts on glasses and gloves, doesn't he? Or did I just hallucinate the glasses?
I think you look at the glasses. Other people are also looking at the screens, right? So if they're looking at the screens as well, then how? And they're not wearing glasses.
No,
then how would they be looking at the
It's a
screens?
there's a projector either side of the glasses, so it's not it's not just in front of his eye, which would be
Got
even
it.
cooler. But like,
All right, I'm looking it up.
Look,
he's looking at it.
I was kind of hoping that we were just going to completely ignore that Apple face thing, but anyway, I reckon the best thing about it is like the technology in the spatial recognition. I reckon that's pretty good. Like just mapping your surrounds like instantly is pretty special. But other than that,
really
they look
cool.
fucking dumb. And who's going
It's
to
a
use
really
it?
hard problem as well, and it's super useful for. I mean, they're obviously just going to map it immediately and then upload it to their sarcophagus of doom, and then
No glasses.
just continue to treat you like a fucking serf. Like if you want to pay $2,000 for Apple to treat you like a fucking serf, then that's fine. Like I'll accept the cosh of the MacBook because it's a really good laptop, but fuck, I'm not letting their shit into any more of their stuff in the house, man. It's a bummer. I've just become such a fucking Luddite. Sorry.
Hey, so I installed Windows yesterday, and the amount of shit you have to opt out on is fucking insane. It was like I needed to run a Windows specific app. In hindsight, I probably should have just given it a go on Wine. But yeah, installing Windows into a VM it was painful. It took me like an hour. And opting out of that fucking sign up is just like, you know how you got to sign into Windows?
Oh, yeah.
When you just want a local account, it's a pain in the ass.
Right.
Like they really railroad you into that shit now. You can still get around it. It's just more of a pain in the ass than what it used to be. You used to just disconnect the internet, and it was like, oh, well, fuck. You don't have the internet? What?
Oh.
But actually, if you don't, so now if you disconnect the internet, it'll like give you a prompt to connect to the internet, and it'll be like, you have to connect to the internet. It just won't give you an option not to.
No, you can still get out of it. I thought.
Yeah, but you have to like bring up the command line and turn some shit off.
Oh.
Or just keep entering like non-accounts over and over until it gives up.
No clue, man. Actually, well, we restored. Yeah, I think we installed a few weeks ago, but it isn't. I think it's just really spammy. Like just the amount of requests, which Apple does as well, but it's a little bit different. And then like even like Edge used to be when that first launched, when they made the change from their own internal structure and in using WebKit, like it was a really good browser early on. Like it was really good, and then eventually like the Microsoft marketing team gets in there and they keep shoving shit in there. And they just literally like every fucking thing. Like it like early on with like collections and like it was a really fast, thin browser that worked really well. It just got worse and worse. Like just I think they realized
Edge was. Are you talking about Edge? Yeah, it was pretty quick in the beginning. Yeah, and then now it's just like stuffed, filled with shit, and it doesn't do anything useful like Brave or anything does.
Right.
So the other thing I was so the reason I was so there's this business that I'm like somewhat involved with. I just help them out with stuff, right? Basically, I don't even charge them. I just do it for free. And they had was sorting out their accounting software, and they refused to go into the cloud. And so they've been running like the whole Windows server with remote desktop for group access to that accounting database. And it became time where we needed to like get some licenses for a Windows server. And fucking hell, man, the like licensing environment in Microsoft is so complicated. and so cumbersome. Like I couldn't even get anyone from Microsoft on the phone to explain it to me. They're like bounced me around all these different call centers, and then eventually I just gave up. And then so I called a friend of mine who
went to the Pirate Bay.
No, so I called up a friend of mine. I'm like, hey
Seas.
man, you want to get a coffee? And he came down and got a coffee, and he's like he's like a Microsoft certified whatever. And I was like, tell me about these licenses, and he's like, fucking just started on this drivel about these licenses for about 30 minutes, and then he's like, just don't bother. He's like, there's a different way. There has to be. So he like told me how I could do it a different way, which was much cheaper, except like sapped half a day of my life away. So anyway, long story short, just get Linux. Like, why won't businesses just start building like software on Linux instead of fucking Windows?
Office.
Because Microsoft will buy them out, and also because Office,
It's all
Yeah,
Office.
Office is on Mac now though, and it's way less painful.
Yeah,
It's
Macs
getting
are
a little bit
expensive.
invasive though. Hey,
Macs are more expensive though. If you're a business that's just like really fucking on it about never spending money, much cheaper to bulk buy shit compacts or whatever. Or HPs. Actually, HPs are what businesses always seem to give you, aren't they?
hey.
HP laptops.
Oh yeah, Dell.
I think
Fucking
I would say Dell for me.
shit tier Dells. They're everywhere.
Yeah, just kind of thinking back to my other half's various work laptops from the last couple of years. They've both been HPs, and then or like a really shit tier, like a maker that has some good laptops, like Acer or Asus, but like shit tier ones. Like I noticed, like I saw a friend that works for like one of these big consultancies. I think it was like McKinsey or something, and they had like a ThinkPad, and I was like, so the big guys, they pay for the good Windows machines, and then they were just complaining about how fucking slow it was, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, and looked at the equivalent of the about tab. I can't remember what it's called on Windows, like to see what the system specs were, and it was like, this was like, bear in mind, a few months ago, it had 8 gig of RAM. And I was like, what? That's like probably the single lowest spec ThinkPad you could possibly have bought.
I think the
Still
ThinkPads
cheap
have.
out.
Yeah, they're pretty turd since they have been Lenovo. I think. Like back when they were IBM, they were like pretty good.
Oh wait, no, it was still an IBM.
I thought they're Lenovo now.
No, they're IBM.
I thought ThinkPad got bought out by Lenovo.
They did.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all Lenovo.
Yeah.
Since
They
when?
sold that shit fucking 10 years
like
ago.
Fucking a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a long fucking time ago.
Yeah. Still the only thing with the little nipple. The fucking.
It's funny.
So
2005, Lenovo purchased IBM.
The better part of the
I
decade.
think that must be a Lenovo then. But mine's pretty good. Or the one that I had, which is.
Honestly, the hardware quality's fine. Yeah, it's still good. Why are we talking about fucking PCs?
Ben Davis chimes in with Lenovo.
That's
I don't know.
Very helpful.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Cheers. Was there like the phrase? I'm surprised you haven't been pushing news more. There's literally
there's
like
a lot of
fucking
news.
20 line items.
Should we? So okay, here's a good one. In 2023, hack-related losses are reportedly down 54%. But is that just because so that was in dollar value? So was that just because nothing was worth anything?
I bet it's a certain level of like during the winter there's fewer users, right? So fewer hacks potentially can happen. I bet all things being equal, just the fewer users would have created that reduction. I call me a cynic, but I bet there isn't really like a people can't brag about there being fewer hacks, right? It's probably just there are fewer people to be scammed.
Yeah, so I think the analysis on this one is exactly what you just said, which is that there are fewer people using complicated DeFi products where you're like, oh yeah, when you think about the amount of rugging that goes on in DeFi, like both from the project authors and from, I suppose, like, passing cyber criminals and script kiddies. Yeah, there you go. There's another news piece. Noel, are you happy? Are you entertained?
I didn't even hear it. I was typing to
Because you weren't listening.
Rama.
Figure out what beer to buy.
Organizing the stopover. Which one was it? Oh, the
to
hack.
quote the Social Network, do I have your full attention, Noel?
Yeah, I'm listening now. Let's go.
Do you think I deserve your full attention?
Why start now? But really, so this was in 2023, right? So, and all token prices were down probably by that amount. Was it the number of people that were scammed, or was it just pure value that was lost?
Pure value. I think it was. So here's the bit about the article I don't read by. They said only $1.7 billion was lost in 2023, and I was like fuck, it was that small a number.
That does seem a little bit low.
sounds like a made up number.
Yeah, that sounds a bit low. I agreed.
Have you guys been tracking just the massive amount of layoffs in tech in the last quarter?
Huge.
Yes. A lot of my friends are in tech, so they're like, I'm not really happy with where I'm at right now, but also I have a job, so I'm just gonna put my head down and act like I love
it. And hide in the corner.
The contractor market has gotten super weird as well, really, really quickly.
Really?
Yep. Because it's relies on there being a lot of projects and a lot of investment going on. And so there's never enough programmers, right? Because at a senior level, there's something like five. There were a few years ago, 5 permanent jobs for every senior developer in the UK. That number's gone down a little bit just with people coming through the workforce, but it's still the case that if you're at that level of seniority, it's just completely your market, as long as people are bringing on more projects than they have incumbent staff, and that has just investment has completely dried up in the last 6 months. I would say a lot of one of the reasons the way I guess it hasn't affected so much the stuff that I've ended up doing is that I don't really do programming as a contractor anymore, so much as strategy or I guess it's kind of strategy. It's more higher level CTOE type stuff, and obviously people are merging and simplifying and trying to fix why are we spending this much money, and it turns out that type of consulting is a little bit less affected because a lot of the answer is fix your process and get rid of a couple of really expensive middle managers who are not qualified. But a lot of the project stuff just seems to have evaporated, really, and it makes sense if there's people being fired at the actually the other interesting thing is I've started to notice people talking about outsourcing again. I was like, I thought we agreed 10 years ago this shit didn't work. All the stuff that was produced was rubbish, so we stopped outsourcing.
Yeah, man, but it's cheap.
I mean, it's almost like history repeats itself, right? So all we've got to do is wait for a couple of years and then go around all these companies being like, hi, I'd like £2,000 a day, please, to tell you that your outsourcing is bad and you should not do it anymore. Here's my rate card.
Yeah, man, but people need people need an MVP with a terrible fucking code base to fix for the next decade.
Yeah, but you don't do that by outsourcing. MVP, you do that with 2 actually good programmers in a
No, they need to be bad to produce work for the next decade. You need That's right. You need a terrible code base to work on for the next decade.
No, an MVP will take a decade if you give it to bad programmers.
That was basically one of my coworkers' entire job at Esri. So there was a recurring contract at Esri where they would order a feature from Russia, Russia's relevant, from another country. They would like implement the feature and it didn't work. And so then my buddy had to come in and fix it. And it happened like 6 times over the course of 2 years where they would actually hire the contractors to do it. Contractors couldn't do it. And then he would have to come fix it. It was glorious. So he had a job because they couldn't do their job rather than just hiring him to do the job.
And kept doing it.
He kept doing it. They just kept going for it. It was wild.
Was it like was the original job like an open tender situation, or was it just like they just kept giving it to these other people and then like?
So I think what it was, I think there was another mapping company in Russia. And so they needed to give them work because they were like bought out or whatever. And so then they would do that. And then someone else would actually have to come and actually do the work. But it created this hilarious, disgusting, bureaucratic nonsense system. And what was really ridiculous about it too was that Jack Dangermond micromanages, that's the owner of Esri, micromanages every single purchase. My office wanted to purchase literally a $20 like network switch so we could share internet, $20. And he had to sign off on it personally. So like putting $1 million towards Developers Plus in Russia, totally fine, don't care. $20 switch so that we can have lined internet rather than crappy wireless that only comes from the other side of the building. Absolutely not. Asking way too much. We had to write documentation around why it was important, what we were going to use it for. And so there was like 10 man hours that went into actually like developing something, and then we would get denied for a $20 switch. So naturally one of us just bought it.
I mean, that does not seem entirely like out of the ordinary.
It doesn't.
Business.
Yeah,
That sounds like every big company.
it does.
Just, It's just all the office space, like dead on the nose type stuff, isn't it? But I brought this stapler from home. You can't take this stapler off me.
Yeah, totally. And we have a Juno upgrade tonight, right? Not to switch gears.
Ah, fuck.
Is there like some fucking?
Oh, that's
not
like
Juno
midnight.
It's a fucking hold height.
I think it's like 2 a.m. my time, which is not looking good.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, it might be good
What?
my time.
There's
I
not
know
a
the
Juno
one
upgrade.
last night was for the test net. I just unbonded.
You
for the
did?
upgrade. I did.
It's so
They
funny.
wrote it in the chat. I'm like, I'm unbonding for the upgrade because I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. for a test net.
I missed it by like 4 hours. Literally.
Yeah, I think I
was
mean,
down.
I'm
I knew it was happening, but I was like, I'm not even.
I'm only medium vote power as well. I did stop my node, restart it with just restarted it in screen with the hold height, so it would just drop at that height, so I could upgrade it later. But
Yeah. I think it's somebody was saying 1:30 a.m. Eastern, so whatever that
Yeah,
is UTC, like 5 or 6 a.m. UTC, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm not getting up early for that.
it was another. What time UTC?
What?
I'm not exactly sure, but it's probably. Well, I would assume it's probably like 5:30 UTC.
So it can't be automatically staged, I'm guessing, because it's
No, it's a
also
hold
the
height.
fuckaroo.
Yeah, it's a whole height.
5:30 p.m. or a.m.
AM.
Oh, okay, it's probably not so bad for me. It's probably
So
like
this
mid-afternoon.
is obviously
Like
related.
in 7 hours from now, 8 hours from now, something like that.
This is related to Rama's news item.
Yeah, why don't you read that?
Juno suffers the same fate as Prop 16 when attempting to Prop 16 the Core 1 vesting account, missing a number, meaning that the transferred amount was 1/10 of the correct amount. Additionally, the entire train's smart contracts are currently not functioning after the upgrade. So that would be why your DAO wasn't working earlier, Noel.
Oh, right. Yeah, for context there, Rama, I tried to pay you today, but this shit not working.
Blame it all on Juno. I like that plan.
Yeah, well, I guess that is calls for a immediate upgrade.
Do you know what the contract issue was, or why that was filmed? Did you hear anything about that, Frank?
Presumably invariants are fucked or something. I don't know. I haven't followed
Do you think that DAO being open sourced was kind of like the final nail in the coffin of Juno? Because I'm in several DAOs, on like Osmosis, and I think there's one on Archway, and I think Terra.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they would all be on Juno, right? Otherwise, so I don't know. I feel like that was the home of DAO, and I feel a little sad that it's gone away.
So when I was talking to Jake like ages ago, he said that basically like other networks will be sort of outposts of DAO, but the main, like all the new features will be on Juno first. I'm not sure like if that went ahead like that or if it's changed, but that was a fair while ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but what does that actually mean?
Nothing ultimately,
Nothing.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically, Juno paid for DAO rug Juno, but I mean, to be clear, like I think it's the right thing for DAO's development, like as a project.
Juno still does own a fair bit of DAO token though.
Well, no, it doesn't, because DAO said they weren't going to pay them, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, they stopped the vesting, so that
Oh,
there's
they
a
stopped the
fair
vest.
bit's already vested into the community pool.
Ah, gotcha.
I think Juno's the biggest single holder of DAO tokens.
Arnold says, so nothing is able to read any contracts until it's fixed. Yeesh.
No, fixed in 7 hours. So 7 hours till we put up the prop to pay the news researcher, and then another 20 days until we like.
What are people
execute
going to
it.
do while they can't use gelato?
Where am I going to gamble?
Where are they going to gamble? I mean, only in a betting shop, a casino, online
Seriously.
gambling, online poker.
DraftKings. My code below.
Sponsor
So,
section. Thanks for today's sponsor. Yeah.
Recently, my YouTube algorithm has been like throwing me lots of old ass CNBC like investigative episodes, I guess you would call them, of basically like Bitcoin hacks back in the day where people are sitting on like billions of Bitcoin and then get busted when trying to launder it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one was like the Silk Road hack that happened, like when it happened, and I think old mate was just like sitting on all this Silk Road Bitcoin, and then invited the cops into his house to look at his laptop for like something unrelated but related, and then they just like coaxed him outside. They're like, it's like, hey, come look at this sunset, when his laptop was unlocked, and then just like raided him when they got him outside. It's pretty hilarious. Yeah, someone like robbed him of like a few $100,000 in, crypto, and then the subsequent investigation got him busted of like 3 billion in crypto. And there was like another one. I think it was an exchange that got hacked. Maybe one of the early exchanges. Hey.
Oh, was that the Mt. Gox one?
I'm not sure if it was Mt. Gox.
Mt. Gox would be the big one. So in the news, we've also got a couple of seizures of Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. So, ultimately, the US government ends up with it all and then auctions it for pennies.
So last year, German police seized 2.1 billion. I think these were in one case, like literally one or two cases, like specifically. So the German police seized $2.1 billion of Bitcoin, and the UK police seized 1.8 billion. But I think they were both cases where people had like a big Ponzi scheme, and then they money laundered it into Bitcoin, and then the value of Bitcoin had gone up, which is why the numbers are so big. And they were like, it's anonymous. It's nothing can get me. And then like, obviously the police get you and they sit you in a cell and they go, okay, so you can go to prison for the rest of your life, or you can hand over your private key. And it turns out that cryptography can't save you, especially in, I think, the UK case. It was literally some criminal who basically just defrauded old ladies or whatever, and then they got somebody else to launder the money for them. So they didn't even hold the private keys, and the other person got. The main person was on the run, but all the Bitcoin's gone because they had the private keys, and the police are like, well, you can be an accomplice and we'll put you to prison for like a year, or you can go to prison for the rest of your life. Like you can do 20 years plus. And they're just like, yeah, okay, have the money. It's not fucking mine anyway.
I feel like you'd be able to buy your way out in some fashion with like a couple of $1 billion.
Right.
No, the way it works in the UK is you have to be money laundering via complex financial instruments in a major investment bank, or via complicated shell companies in a British overseas territory, and ideally have friends in the House of Lords. In those cases, you get away with it.
Yeah, like, the news cycle ends and people forget about it, and then you just deploy the cash. Launder some more to like pay people off.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like a major bank and you say, money laundering for Mexican drug cartels, that's totally fine. But if you're a member of like the population, you would like privacy to spend, 50 quid on some lingerie or something or whatever without your bank seeing it and profiling it and selling your data to, insurance agents and all that kind of stuff. Well, then you are obviously a fucking criminal for wanting to spend 50 quid and you're not allowed to have any privacy. That's how it works. That's how anti-money laundering works. And if you're a Russian oligarch and you just have loads of money that you want to launder, you just buy property in London. That's how it works. So very consistent rules. We're very serious about AML in this country. To be fair to the Americans, you are a little bit more consistent about AML, as I understand it, but it's still a completely broken system. But hey, whatever, man. Hey, speaking of criminality, my favorite news piece that I saw. So apparently, last year, 2% of U.S. energy use was for crypto mining because people are moving Bitcoin mining onshore to America as energy prices elsewhere go up.
And this one specifically was, I think, what was it, like elementary school or some sort of school district?
It was
running
a school
it off the
district
free electricity.
superintendent. Yeah, so it's literally like
Smart.
Superintendent Chalmers is mining Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
That was how I interpreted this news story. So the claim from the DOJ was that Assistant Superintendent Chalmers and Chief Business Officer of the Patterson Joint Unified School District, somebody will have to work out where that is.
Dude, I got a good idea.
Yeah, along with the IT director for the school district, they created a crypto mining farm using the infrastructure of the school district, and then pocketed the profits while funneling the extra energy use through the schools. So it was like, damn, those schools really have got the radiators on during winter.
Free electricity changes the whole model. Mine like fucking crazy.
It makes it really profitable.
It really does. You're not paying for electricity.
Speaking of my old jobs, my old boss, he created the Xeon Phi and he used them to mine Bitcoin back in like 2013. So we had mineral oil keeping them cool, server racks. He was like, "Don't tell anyone about this, but this is what I'm testing these." And I was like, "Oh my god,
so funny."
That's funny. I knew somebody in my local programming group who worked for Engine Yard. Do you remember them? Like Ruby on Rails hosting back in the day. They had a free tier. You got like one, VPS, right? Like equivalent of AWS T3A micro or whatever in the AWS model. And they and he was like, yeah, like people are going mad for these at the moment. We're getting so many signups. It'd be really cool if all these people convert. It's going to be a completely different company in a year. And then like maybe 2 months later at a different meetup, I was like, yeah, man, how are things going to work? And he was like, so, because it's like 2012, he was like, hey, have you heard of a thing called Bitcoin? And I was like, yeah, funny story. I own half a Bitcoin. I can't spend it on pizza. He was like, okay, cool. Right. And I was explaining this to you then. The reason they all signed up is they're mining Bitcoin in a massive farm. And it's really hard for us to work out who the fuck is doing it. And we might have to turn off our free tier, and it's killing our business. And the higher ups have just told us all to fucking figure it out. And you're like, cool. That was a massively paraphrased version. I can't remember where Engine Yard are based and if they're still around. So don't sue me for defamation. That probably isn't quite the full story. But anyway, I recall that from the time there was just like shitloads of Bitcoin mining going on the free hardware, and it was really harming them.
So my mate has been like a proof of work miner for like years and years and years. Not rich. And during winter, he would like move his GPUs into the living room onto a rack and just like let them run in there instead of in the shed.
Oh, so he was like a working class Bitcoin miner, not like a big balls Bitcoin miner.
Well,
like
he has been, you know, like in the proof of work mining for many, many, many years, like probably since like around the 13, 14 mark, Ethereum.
Right, but there's two types of people in crypto. There's the ones that are already on the beach, and there is everybody else. So you're telling me he's part of us suckers?
Yeah, he's definitely like part of us. He's one of us.
What did he do? If he started that early, what did he do? Did he degen it all up the wall? Buy too many graphics?
No, I feel like at some point he told me that he had like 40 Bitcoin, but I think he like, you know, swapped it to something else, or I don't know.
It's always the degeneracy that gets you. I've noticed that.
Yeah. He almost convinced me to buy Bitcoin back in like 2000 and I want to say like 15 or 16 or something. It was so when we met at the pub and he was telling me about the whole situation.
That's not oh my god, Nal's origin story is that he sometimes goes to the pub and is Australian.
So we're talking about the whole situation and he's like, yeah, man, Bitcoin, it's good. You should get some. And I'm like, all right. So like making an account was a real pain in the ass for the Australian exchanges. So my plan was to like maybe spend 10 grand and just, you know, make a definitive investment, 10 grand. At the time,
jump straight from 0 to 100, just like straight to 10 grand.
At the time, well, I mean, I used to like, so I used to buy shares as well, and that was my amount that I would put into like a share would be, you know, this is the starter pack, 10 grand, and then I'd just leave it forever, and then so I'd save up another 10 grand and I'd like buy something else. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give it the starter pack, and then so Bitcoin was 200 Australian dollars, right? And so by the time I went through all the rigmarole and everything to make an account on an Australian exchange, Bitcoin was 2,000 Australian dollars, and I was like, fuck, I missed the boat. So then I like gave up on that whole situation, and that's the story.
I bought and sold Bitcoin at quite a few different prices in that sort of period. I think I finally got out at about $19,000. Where I had I think my first ever bit, like I had like a whole Bitcoin at some point, and then after that it was always like, you know, subdivisions of one. But yeah, I think it was this strange thing. I guess it's back over 40,000, isn't it? You say, Shortsy. So
yeah, it just crested 44.
What's ATH?
69,
60?
I think.
69.
I think 69, yeah.
So it's on the way back up, and everything else is positively correlated. So, you know,
the happening does happen here in 2 months. So
yeah, a bit over it. It's like 70 odd days or something.
Interesting.
Well, the halvening is like only that's like a few months before the traditional cycle, right? So the halvening happens and then the cycle sort of happens like a little bit after.
Well, I imagine there's some sort of like delay period from whenever they actually start to actually sell, right? Because the theory goes that the halvening matters because now Bitcoin makers are making less, and there's going to be a delay before they actually start to sell at this new value.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like how mining works in real life, like in IRL commodities, right? Like no miner is going to sell it for less than it costs to produce. So I guess the theory is that it costs more to produce, so no miner will be selling it for less than that. So less miners. I don't know. But in any case, it is coming. And hey, hopefully it kicks off another bull and we get another year of like, champagne and Lambos until we're broke again.
Yeah, but not all. I also the thing is like not all bulls are created equal, right? I mean, you'll do well off of say, I think, if there's another bull market. I don't know what else in Cosmos is going to go shooting, rootin' tootin' shooting back up there.
Well, I mean,
Other than
TIA
the hub.
is fucking all the way up there. Celestia.
Yeah,
Dimension
but
has had a pretty good start. I don't know. It could be another one. There's like that grab bag of Tia, Dime, and also Avail, which are sort of all holding hands together. So maybe they'll all end up high. I think Avail's like a really different situation for Cosmos validators than what obviously Dime and Celestia are.
Avail is Polkadot, right? It's a substrate chain.
Yeah, it's Polkadot. It's not, but there are a pretty big handful of Cosmos validators in their testnet. So
yeah,
but it'll be interesting when they launch to see like if they also do like Celestia started at about 100 when they launched, and they just progressed up the list pretty quick. So maybe Dimension will do the same thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to say because people go up the chains go up the list and then they go rocking back down when people realize that they've just got the same old shit like a Dex and a couple of other fucking, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, TIA seems to be pretty stuck up there at the moment. Injective seems to be stuck around that $30 mark.
I mean,
I'm
whenever
not sure
you see a top whenever you see a top 50 chain, remember that Juno was like what? Briefly, $44. It's all
briefly. Like these ones have stuck around. Like, but Juno shot up there and shot back down, right? Whereas I don't know, if you take Injective for example, they've been around a long time, and they've slowly been moving up for like a year.
Well, yeah, exactly. I guess that's the thing. But then a slower build up in a bear market. I mean, that's just a bear market, isn't it? But hey, I mean, if the whole market shoots up, it would be nice if only we were still getting big bags. But that's also fine.
But I mean, Injective, like they 10x'd in 12 months of bear market. So I don't know. I don't know why they're different, but they seem to be.
Yeah, fair play. I'm just being shitty about Injective because for some reason I'm shitty about Injective.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just pointing out that there's different strokes for different folks or whatever.
That's the description of the economics of the various chains. There's I don't know. I think I know we obviously had Dan on here and then like didn't talk to him about Aleo at all, but yeah, I think there are some other interesting chains coming out, and obviously anything with like the Narwhal type consensus in proof of stake is like pretty interesting. Anything with like anything with better privacy, I'm obviously a fan of, but I get that you just have to give it to users without them asking for it. So who knows? It'd be interesting to see like what happens next bull run, right? Because like we had DeFi summer, we've had all those things. Like it's going to have to be some other thing. Maybe next time. I don't want to sound too hopeful or anything. Maybe next time it would be something useful. Will be the thing, the killer app. Huh? Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, probably